Welcome to Retro Scale Modelling. This is part 4 of Airfix's Vickers Wellington GR Mark 8. Scale is 1:72. So in the previous parts, I started working on the interior, and now ended the video with building the engines. So this is where I'm going to be starting part 4, carrying on with the engines and going on to the wings. So let's jump into this and see how well I don't get on. So now the engine module is made up. You can see there, just pointing it to the camera. That's everything in place. The landing gear struts, as I explained in the other video, should actually go on at a later part in the build, but I thought it was more prudent to place them on now. So the first job to do on the wings is to drill a couple of pilot holes. These are for aerials or probes, whatever they are, that get fitted underneath the wing itself. The two larger openings you see on there, those are for a clear part, but it's time to fit the engines. These can be a little bit tricky to fit. You have to squeeze in the section for it to go into its housing, but once it's in, that's when you add the cement. Don't add your cement beforehand, because there's a good chance that you'll mess everything up and get cement and fingerprint print marks all over the place. So make sure you get it in alignment first before adding your cement. This will have to be pressed on firmly as well onto the housing to meet up. But the location points or markings for this are such that it is quite easy to line up. At this stage, I'm just placing the flaps on, just so well they are lining up whether they need any work doing to them. They're not cemented in position, but they are a very tight fit, and theoretically you can leave them like this without any cement. That's how tight they are. It's now time to close up the fuselage. I've already put the wing bracket in. That just fitted through the fuselage. There is a little guiding location for that to pop in. So in order to close this up, I've decided to do it in sections. That way I'm going to make sure each part is fully closed before going on to the next part. It just makes it easier and saves a lot of mess. So because of the shape, and remember, I've cut away a lot of material on this, I can't put too much pressure on it, or there's a chance that it can snap the fuselage. So it's better if I just do it in little parts and use a minimum amount of clamping and holding to get it to bond. And once I'm happy with one section, I know that secure, it's only then I shall move on to the next section. So as you can see there, it's completely open, and I'm just going to be running a little bit of cement around to a certain area and point before closing up. And once the middle section is done, it's to go into the tail section, and it's the same again, just a little bit of cement that I've already added before holding it and squeezing it closed. I'm using Rebel Aquacolor 04 Gloss White to paint the white at the underside of the aircraft. Now, I'm using the Rebel one because I don't particularly like the white from Umbro. The matte one is too grainy, and the gloss just takes far too many coats to get right. I would take double the amount of coats, I should say, than the Revell one does. And I think the Revell one gives slightly better colour coverage on their white paint. So the wings are painted and they're drying, and the top half of the fuselage is now dried to the extent where I can start closing up the bottom half of the fuselage. And I'm doing that exactly the same way as I did the top half, just cementing it in sections before moving on to the next section. It takes longer to do, and you sometimes have to be quite creative with your clamps, as you can see me doing here, but it is worth doing it instead of trying to do it all in one go. And I worked out on the bottom half of the fuselage, it was easier to clamp to cement both ends, then go on to the middle section instead of working my way down. This is why you see this strange setup here. So once I get this in place and I'm happy with everything, then it's just a matter of waiting for it to dry before starting to sand down the seams. Back to the wings, and you use a micro crystal clear here as is cement for the holes, well, the windows or lights, whatever they're for. But they do hold a clear part, so it's better using the crystal clear to hold this part. It's a simple part to fit. There's just one unit, not two, so it's all easy enough to put the cement in the middle section of this part, and it will be enough to bond it together. It's time to start preparing for painting now. So I'm using my masking tape here to paint to mask off the lines that I need. So if you remember on the instructions, the top of the aircraft is in camouflage, all the rest of the aircraft is in white. So I'm just marking off the areas which will be in the camouflage colour. On the wings, I'm marking off where the white strip will run strip at the edge of the wings is going to be. So using the paint, I'm going from the tape to the surface, not the other way around, the surface to the tape. Always paint from the masking tape onto the surface. This will stop the tape from lifting up and the paint bleeding onto your tape as well, of course. So the whole section here will be getting painted in the white colour, which is the Revell 04 gloss white colour. So the white's painted in, I've removed the masking tape, replaced it over the white, and now I'm painting in the camouflage. And I'm using Umbro 123 Extra Dark Sea Grey for the darker colour. So I'll just jump on a little bit here, and as you can see, I've used the same colour but onto the fuselage as well. You can see the camouflage starting to take effect. And once the first colour is dry, I'm going on to Umbro 224 Dark Slate Grey, and this is for the lighter colour. It's a sort of grey-green colour. I think it works really well in camouflage. Both colours will need a couple of coats though, but initially it's just the first coating I'm going to be showing you as I'm placing it on. And once the coats are done, it's time to peel away the masking tape so you can start seeing it coming through. And once the main painting is done, I can assemble the wings. I find it easier to paint half separately before bonding them together. To me, it just saves time. Okay, some occasions where I may have to paint over certain areas, but I think it's worth doing it, especially when you've got a camouflage pattern. But it's just my preference. Don't necessarily build it like this if you don't feel comfortable. I can then put in the flaps. Now the flaps, when I painted these, I actually left them on the aircraft just so that I can carry on the camouflage line as I painted, so there was no mixing or stepping away from the pattern. And once the wings were in place, part of the engine had to be painted because those parts weren't actually on the camouflage side. They belonged to the under section of the wing. Now it's onto the rear wings. So these wings are fairly simple to place on. And moving on to this tail section, I should point out I've already painted the rear wings as well. The two arcs are not together yet, but just the main camouflage part is actually painted. The tail fin, the main section, the rudder section, are all put together in the normal way. Really, it's just two parts each sandwiched together, and it's the same for the rear wings. The bottom part painted in the white and the camouflage part. So this is where I'll bring part 4 to a close. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? If you subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit that notification bell. That way you'll be kept up to date with all my builds. Hit that like button. Don't be afraid to leave a comment. And of course you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.